Thank you for tuning in to the Urban Network podcast. I'm Hewitt Pagenstecher, your host and the founder of Amygdala Media. Today's guest is Daniel Huson. He's the founder and owner of Rose City Laboratories. Rose City Laboratories offers a variety of accurate testing across multiple industries and can test for hemp and cannabis products, water, DNA, microbiology, and a lot more. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a great day today.
Excellent. Now tell me, how did you begin to start Rose City Laboratories? What inspired you to do so?
Do we have enough time for this today? No, I'll try to make it quick. So basically, I started Rose City Laboratories because I have to go back about 5 years before that, maybe even actually 6 years before that. I got sick in 2004. I ended up with cancer, and then so I started growing for people during the medical marijuana days. And then I ended up opening up a dispensary because I was growing for 19 people, and I just had a full-time job. I couldn't do it anymore, and I figured if I wanted to help more people, and so the only way to do that is open a dispensary. At that time, dispensaries were illegal, so I decided, okay, how can I be more legitimate? And so I said, well, we need testing for this stuff to make sure it's safe for the human consumption because it's going to be for patients. So I decided to buy a piece of equipment and get trained up on it and just start testing for it. So then in 2012, they kind of came to shut me down. And there was a little news article that made headlines. It was called Cracks in Oregon Law Filled with Weed. And it talked about me and how my dispensary, and it talked about how I was quasi-legal and all that. And it really had to do with I was doing it for the right reason and helping patients and making sure they had a clean product. And this was way before it was legal, 10 years ago, working on 11 years now. So yeah, it's all about health, helping humans with their sicknesses and ailments. And just, Western medicine is not, I don't know, I'm not too much of a Western medicine fan personally. So
nice. Well, first of all, congratulations for reaching that 10-year mark. That's pretty exciting. Yeah. So how are you able to develop and build more relationships with people in the cannabis industry, like growers and other dispensaries?
Well, I think part of it goes just, I've been doing cannabis my whole life. I was born into it and I kind of done it my whole life, side by side with my day job career, and I think I was a grower. I did all that stuff. So I was able to relate more because I did it and I've done it my whole life. And so coming from black market, we never thought it would ever be legal. And I remember smoking with a friend of mine as a teenager going, God, what if we had dispensaries? That would be cool, And then all of a sudden I opened one of the first dispensaries in Oregon. And now I have the largest laboratory. And it's like my dreams came true. I did it. I was able to sell. And I don't know. So it's just kind of, I was that person. I was the grower. So I know all about it. I lived the life.
Nice. And now Rose City Labs test for so much more, like asbestos, radon. What kind of motivated you to branch out in terms of testing for other things?
Well, here's where it's sometimes I'm a little bit of a serial entrepreneur, and sometimes things just kind of fall in your lap that you don't even expect. So a lot of it really started with me relocating my laboratory and trying to remove the stigma of me just testing marijuana. And basically, when I moved to this location here, I'm on Johnson Creek Boulevard here, and this Johnson Creek Boulevard is like a freeway almost. Never stops with traffic. And sometimes you're waiting 10 minutes to get out of your own driveway. And so, but I opened up a laboratory, put out signs, testing, and next thing I know, people were stopping. The first day, I think it was 4 people stopped and go, hey, do you test asbestos? And after the 4th person, that one day, the first day I opened, I'm like, oh, guys, what do we need to do that? And so my lab director, he's like, hey, we need a microscope, we need accreditation and PTs. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So it's just kind of, sometimes things fall in your lap, and I don't know, I've been able to grow and so once I started asbestos, then I'm like, okay, what else can I do about radon? And it's all about helping humans, and it's what we're exposed to in the environment that's causing cancer and all of that stuff. So it's led me into testing now natural medicines and different mushroom extracts and different lichen extracts and just natural herbs and medicines. Mullein is is a natural herb that you can smoke, and it actually helps with your asthma. And somebody with COPD did smoked in mullein. It works better than this prescribed inhaler. So anyway, I probably got off track, but there you go.
No, that's cool that you could like figure that stuff out through, testing and just like scientific process. You have a beautiful lab, by the way. If anyone's interested in Rose City Labs, I would definitely suggest taking a tour.
Yeah.
I just took one. I've been here a lot. I help Rose City Labs out with some social media and video from time to time. And I always describe it to people. It's like if Dexter's Laboratory was live action. Like it's the most stereotypical, or just, it's just like all these machines that you're like, what the hell does this do? Like just like a lot of really impressive and scientific looking machines. I don't know. You have a great facility here. It's really impressive. Yeah. And so, there's a lot of businesses that test, cannabis for things like, pesticides, right? And, people that work with like real estate agents and test for radon and asbestos and stuff like that. But what would you say are some testing services that Rose City Labs offers that you can't get at most other places?
So, that kind of is like Rose City Labs is like a one-stop shop. I'm trying to build, so Rose City Labs, Portland, Oregon is Rose City. I want everybody to think of Rose City when they need testing done, no matter whether it's urine analysis, whether it's, cannabis, drinking water for the school districts, whether it's anything. And it's just being able to help the average person, because at one time I was that person going, hey, how do I get testing, or where do I go? And it was like a mystery. And I want to break down those mystery and those walls for consumers and just be able to help people, I guess. Have access to any testing, and if they don't know, and they can ask us, and even if we don't offer that testing, we have so much equipment and we can probably add it. I mean, let's do it. If you want something tested, that doesn't matter what it is, bring it here. We'll figure out and help you analyze it to either help you with your life, your health, your safety. You're buying and selling a home, remodeling a home. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I was talking to one of your laboratory technicians, Oren, and he's like a DNA expert, basically. Yeah. And, he said that was like a pretty kind of unique service that you offer in terms of cannabis testing specifically.
Yeah, so we are one of the only ones on the West Coast, period, that offers a DNA and genetic testing. That's to be able to test for viruses in plants and crops. I mean, we got growers out there that have millions of dollars wrapped up in these facilities, and some of these facilities are tens of thousands of even hundreds of thousands of square feet. And if they get a virus in there, it's no different than what's happening to the United States, and everybody's dying. Well, if you have $1 million grow operation and your plants are all dying, what do you do? How do you get testing? And that's where it's like, okay, how do I help people get testing, and nobody knows where to get it or how to do it? So that's where I start to offer that type of testing. And that's where I bought the DNA machine. It's a genetic, it's a real-time qPCR. It's the same machine that they're doing the COVID-19 testing on. So viruses for humans, I can do it for plants, I can do it for humans, I can do it for animals. And, we're hoping to eventually expand into animals and vets, and just, doesn't matter. Like I say, I'm trying to build a one-stop lab, but yes, it's the genetic. It definitely makes us stand apart because, it wipes out entire crops. You can lose an entire grow operation, have bad genetics, and it also helps you with determining CBD ratios and THC ratios. So if you want a 1-to-1, we can help you figure out how to better breed, or if your strain you're actually popping is doing it. Or let's say you're trying to grow 1,000 seeds. Or plants from seeds, and most are you got ratios of males to females. It could be a 50-50 mix, and to be able to save space and not be able to grow that many, basically you just need the second set of leaves. Take one of those leaves off, and we can tell you instantly if that's a male or female plant by this genetic testing without having to grow that up and then flower it out and waste all the food and energy and light and all your resources. So it saves cost, and it's cost savings for people and grow operations, actually.
Yeah, they could determine if it's a male or female weeks at least before they would otherwise visually.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's extremely valuable.
Yep.
So as I mentioned earlier, you've been in business for more than 10 years, but I think officially this is like the year where it's been like 10 years since you became an entity, right? In like 2011. That's amazing. But what would you say are some of the main milestones that you reached throughout the last 10 years that kind of made your laboratory what it is today?
So the milestones are, to be honest, the biggest milestone is being able to test cannabis. Cannabis is a very hard product to test. There's a lot of interferences with it, and being able to meet regulations, being able to deal with regulators, being able to jump through the hoops and willing to jump through the hoops, I think is a big, huge milestone. In the world of cannabis testing, there's actually less than a dozen cannabis testers in Oregon. It's just really hard to meet that, be able to be an accredited laboratory. So that was one of the major milestones. To be able to buy all this nice, beautiful equipment, I never thought in a million years I would be able to own that. And as of this December, we actually own everything outright. And there's almost 2 million in equipment in there. That's a huge milestone this year.
Yeah.
10 years not owing anybody anything. That's pretty awesome. And then being able to expand into asbestos and radon and drinking water now, a huge thing for us during the major height of the first wave of the pandemic. All the hospitals and clinics and everybody, there was a shortage of PPE, right? These little face masks and stuff.
Yeah.
And big, major, huge hospital, I don't want to mention who they are, but here in Oregon, the largest hospital, they had there was no PPE for them to test or for them to use because there was none certified. So they contacted us, asked if we could test. We're like, I don't know, hang on. And that's what I'll tell everybody. And then I finally talk to my guys, see what it takes. Well, we tested for this major hospital for 4 months, pallets and pallets and pallets of PPE for their doctors and surgeons. We actually built a machine and verified the machine worked, and it was kind of cool. We squirt blood on it, and fake blood, but we squirt blood on it, and we were able to do stuff. But that was a huge milestone, being able to build a machine from scratch to be able to test for face masks for doctors and surgeons in the hospital during the height of a pandemic. I mean, it's like, how do we do this? Let's do it, guys. And that's kind of where we are a little bit of everything in here, it's like kind of cool. It's being able to do all that stuff. I don't know. There's so many milestones, so many things. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, I know a lot's probably happened in the last decade for sure. Yeah, and I really like how I could tell that you're really passionate about like helping people and being able to work for those hospitals and also like work and discover new things about like different types of plants and like fungi and stuff. Oh, yeah. So that's like pretty admirable. That I could tell that you're like passionate about what Rose City Labs does that makes a positive impact on the community and the health and wellness of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's all it's about. I mean, I've had cancer twice myself. Mm-hmm. And what causes cancer? We've got everything in our environment. So yeah. So
you've accomplished a lot. You have a couple more businesses as well, right? Let's just like see. I just want to see like what other projects you have going on, or what are your main other businesses besides Rose City Labs?
So I got Rose City Labs is my main business, but then I do Oregon Outdoor Adventure. I was at Oregon Coast. We did beach tours, driving people on the beach, and that was a blast. I also teach people how to dig clams. We did s'mores on the beach with people, so I'd go set up campfires, do all that stuff. And we Pacific City Gallery. It's an art gallery out there. My wife is an artist, so we had an art gallery with a secret little shop in the back that had pipes and stuff, and CBD. It was a kind of a CBD store. I do abatement services. We're just starting abatement services. So the people that are failing for radon and asbestos and stuff, we can actually be able to go in and help clean all that stuff and, just help people out that way. And shouldn't talk about it too much, but I'm excited. I'm getting ready to start maybe a laboratory in Mexico. Mexico's got new regulation happening, and I've got 2 different individuals interested in starting a lab in Mexico, so it's kind of really cool.
Going international now.
International, yeah. That's huge. Learning a whole new thing and a whole international, yeah.
Great. So what advice, this is another question that you could probably spend days talking about, but what advice might you have for people that want to be successful in business?
Oh, successful in business, I guess it starts with actually doing something, making the step. You can plan it to death and you can do all that, but you sometimes just got to do it. I don't know. Some people plan out, childbirth. I gotta be successful. I gotta have money. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And some people never have children because they're always planning. And I don't know, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it. I mean, just jump in and do it. Because I worked for corporate many, many years. And 22 years at Boeing Portland alone, being a CNC 5-axis machine operator. But my thing was I was always scared to actually jump in and do my own thing, even though I've done my own thing my whole life. And actually, once I quit my day job and devoted 100% to all my other activities, it makes a huge difference. And it just much more successful now. And my businesses thrive 100 times more. And I'm just so much more successful, and just let go of the securities of your day job and just do it. Just do it.
Hey, that's what worked for me. I definitely, I remember, I had a full-time job and I was doing marketing and, building up Amygdala media on the side. And when I was able to, make that leap, give my 2 weeks notice, that's when a lot of the new clients started flowing in, right? Because I was able to dedicate more time and because I had to make it work. And also because, that's just a sign that you believe in yourself, right? And taking action steps to get something done is really the key, because then that's when you start getting feedback, because you're never going to be perfect at something when you first start, but you'll start doing it and then you get feedback from your customers, from your own experiences. It's like the concept of a minimum viable product from that book, The Lean Startup. Have you heard about that?
No.
Well, just the whole concept is just to release the minimum product necessary. That's your innovative idea, and then release it to customers, and then you'll immediately get feedback from them, and then you can kind of develop and build the product from there. But it's an interesting business philosophy that reminded me of, as well as the Nike slogan, of course.
Well, it's just like when I did the dispensary, I was scared to death. I actually told people, told my family, hey, take my kids because I'm probably going to get arrested. And, but I believed in what I was doing, and I believed I was doing it right, and I tried to do it right, and it made a difference, and that's that.
Great. So I am curious also, or I think the listeners might be, how could they learn more about Rose City Labs? How could people purchase or learn more about your services if they want to get in contact with you?
So you can definitely go to our webpage. It's you can fill out forms online and do everything electronically before you even come. But I highly recommend to come on down and actually see the facility, meet some of my crew, and just kind of get a tour and see what we're about. Like I say, I put in this big, huge picture window behind me. I was the first laboratory to ever do that, and it was to not keep it a secret what goes on back there, because when you drop something at most laboratories, it disappears, and you're like, what happens back there in the back? And it's like, I'm an open book. I'm here, and I think that's what helps me be successful, is I'm an open book. I'm not trying to hide nothing. Come get a tour. That's what it is. Come get a tour.
Yeah, I like being able to look in the window here and see Orr or Eric and them just working busily back there. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, head over to the YouTube link, because we're having a visual version of the podcast as well on YouTube, and you'll be able to see part of Daniel's lab on there.
Awesome.
Is there anything more you want to talk about or say to the audience before we wrap up this episode?
Well, the only thing that really came into my mind, to be honest, is I have a little favorite saying, and it's not my saying, but it's whether you believe you can, or you think you can, or you think you can't, you are right. And so believe in yourself, believe that you can do it, and don't ever say you can't, and just do it.
Very inspiring message, Dan. I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Right on.
And everyone, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
Right on.